Yeah, hi everyone. How's everyone doing? So this is gonna be my fourth day right now. So it's been. I'm gonna have my fourth meal on my fourth day. I've decided right now that if I want to eat, I need to work out. So I'm not gonna eat unless I work out. First I work out, then I'm gonna eat. Haven't done this before, but when I used to work out, I used to eat like 6 meals, 7, 8 meals a day. I used to eat 5, 6 thousand calories a day, and I would still lose weight. But the problem with that is you just basically you live either in the gym, either you're sleeping or you're in the kitchen. So I spend like a third of my day making food every day. And that really takes up a lot of time. And at the end of the day, the misconception back then was that you need to eat 6, 7 meals because apparently your body can't take in a certain amount of protein per session, 35 grams as it was back then. Some people say 29, well, depending on the body size. Well, that just ain't true because your body has a silo of resources it can harness from whenever it is in need of these resources. It goes with glucose, it's stored as glycogen in your muscles, for example. So when you're out of glucose in your blood, your body uses glycogen from your muscles. Same thing with fat, it's a fuel. So if you don't have carbs in your body, as in sugars, then you're going to consume fat. And only then your body will eat your protein. So people who say, well, you're gonna work out, so and you won't have enough protein to rebuild the muscles. That's a new cool word, man. Bustles. Oh, I have bustles. Uh, no, you can eat in one sitting, and a lot of athletes do that nowadays. Is that they do intermittent fasting or they just fast and they eat a huge portion once a day. So now I just eat like a big meal once a day, and that's after I work out. I eat it together with, so I had like, for example, turkey breast with beans and corn and salad. That was one meal, and that was like a meal for three people basically. It's like huge. I eat like big meals. Another meal was what I have today. I had turkey breasts, about like half a kilo. So that's how many grams? That's 150 grams. So there's 29 grams of protein per 100 grams. So 3 times 5, 150, yeah, 150 grams of protein. And you need like 1 gram per pound or 2 grams, no more for kilogram. So technically, I would need more, but that's just a big strain on your kidneys. Kidneys, yes. Wanted to talk about kidneys. If you're doing the same thing, if you're going through dieting right now, fasting, you want to lose weight, don't forget to drink a lot of water. Because don't forget, you're in. There's a lot of metabolic processes involved right now. It's not just catabolic state, as in you lose mass, so you're breaking down different tissues. That's catabolic state. Anabolic state is when you put on tissue, as in muscle, for example. So both processes at the same time, the anabolic and catabolic, are always on at the same time. But right now, for example, for me, it's predominantly catabolic because I'm breaking down fat, I'm breaking down glycogen, and I'm probably breaking down at least just a little bit of muscle, probably at some point of the day. Happens naturally. And but at the same time, I have like this reserve of protein from my one meal to being delivered into the systems that my body needs right now. So muscles will not atrophy. Obviously, they will not. I won't lose muscle mass as long as I have my proteins per day, grams per kilogram per pound, whatever. So forget about like eating 6, 7. You can. It's healthier to eat like 6, 7 meals a day. Or something here. But it's not necessary whatsoever. obviously I'm having cravings at the moment. I wanted Pringles today. I wanted Big Macs. I wanted to go to the KFC and buy myself 25 chicken wings and just stuff my face. But then I was like, okay, if I want to do that, you're gonna have to go and just work out for like 2 hours. Then you can do it. And I was like, okay, no. No. And yeah, I've worked out every day. So I've worked on my calves, my back, my lats, um, my traps, my delts, my biceps, my pecs, my pectoralis, my core. What else? Haven't done my neck. Haven't done my quads. Haven't done my butt. Uh, that's about it. Forearms. I do like pull ups and everything and push ups. So the forearms and the wrists, they kind of um, they're gonna come around with the rest of it. It's just complex exercises. So when you do pull ups and push ups, full body exercises, complex exercises. There's a lot for me to cover, to be honest, but and it's gonna be would be a really long video because there's obviously people who will talk about overtraining or under um, under recovery. So some people say there's no such thing as over um, training. There's just under recovery. So sleep was good, yeah, obviously, but anyway, all these things I just don't think are at this moment of time really relevant, because if you look at human history throughout, we've had armies of men, thousands of men marching 50 kilometers, like 40 miles a day, for weeks on end, for months sometimes, all the way like from Greece to Persia to Babylon, or to like Central Asia, with Alexander the Great. The Romans, they had their armies all across the known world back then, like all across Europe, all the way to Africa and to Asia. And these armies, these legionnaires, and the Greek warriors, the Greek city-state warriors, they've traveled long distances, and most of them, they didn't have horses, and obviously the logistic supply wasn't as good. They didn't have trains or anything, so a lot of them had to carry huge packs of whatever they needed, their necessities, with them. And they did it, and well, they still had energy to fight at the end of the day. They didn't think about recovery, they didn't think about overtraining, they just did it, and they were fine. I will go on about gladiators and everything, because it's really, these topics are really interesting when you look at the human history, and it just proves that our blueprint, our genetic blueprint, is in such a state that we are meant to not run for 3 kilometers. We're meant to walk along the plains looking for animals and then have bursts of explosive power, of energy, when we're hunting some animals. Then you had to do like, those were explosive exercises. So there wasn't a lot of cardio involved throughout the history. There was just like a lot of marching, and then a certain like fast paced action, explosive work they had to do, and that was it. And people physically were quite fit. I don't know if it's common belief, and certain people, they know about these things. Certain people, they don't think so. But there were like huge dig ups of armies in UK from the 11th and 12th centuries, and these people had good teeth. People think like, oh, medieval times people had like really rotten teeth. That's not true. What rots your teeth is sugar. If you don't have any sugar in your diet, or I don't mean like fructose or lactose, I mean like proper sugar, or you get like in soda cans or whatever. This really rots your teeth. So these people, the only people who had teeth problem were Vikings, because the dig ups they made from certain berserkers, they had chipped away their teeth during battle because they were grinding and they were holding their teeth so tightly together, like their whole jaw was just so tight because of all the massacre around them that it just chipped away pieces of their teeth. That's how hardcore battles were back then, you know. And well, about the gladiator, for example, you know, I just wanted to say that most gladiator fights, they're depicted nowadays that they were like gory and messy, and people would decapitate, amputate, like slash their limbs off and everything. But that wasn't the case. Most of the matches, they ended up with people without being injured or killed. Well, maybe minor injuries, but it was more like wrestling nowadays or American football, you know. Accidents did happen, so people, obviously, because you have maybe a blunt, probably a blunt weapon, they didn't have really that sharp of weapons because it was for a spectacle, you know. They didn't want to get killed. And a lot of the best gladiators, they had like 40-50 fights, and in those fights, they sometimes, none of the fights they ever had to kill someone, because these guys, they were friends. At the end of the day, they all went down to the slave pit and they had a good laugh about it, you know. And there were certain gladiators who had like a beef with each other, and they would fight 2, 3, 4 times per their career, you know, just like nowadays you have in UFC. And you know, at the end of the day, one of the guys would, you know, surrender or, you know, just pass out because. So I heard about this fight that lasted for like 3 hours. Guys were like sparring for 3 hours, and then in the end they just shook hands and everyone applauded. And gladiators back then, they would just like put on a lot of fat before the competition because they used the layer of fat on their bellies as a sort of armor, because the weapons, as I said, were pretty blunt and the level of protection was minimal. So fat was used as armor back then. So a lot of gladiators nowadays, they're depicted as this, and Spartans as well, they're depicted as like these really either swole or ripped guys, but you know, they were just like just boars, basically, like pigs, you know. I mean, they were very strong, don't get me wrong, these were strong men. Anyway, I got carried away. Like I said, but if you're going through the same thing as I am, you know, just hang in there. I get cravings. You're gonna get cravings, especially if you just love fast food, junk food, all of that crap, you know. But you're gonna get through it. So it's my 4th day. Now I'm gonna have my 4th meal. I just came back from a 3-hour walk after midnight in Moscow. Some homeless guys bleeding, a couple of drunk guys staring down and just staring at me, giving me the stare, you know. I'm just like, oh, come on, if you knew what I went through in my life, you wouldn't do that. So, some graffiti and made some videos, pretty cool stuff. Then got lost in one of the not especially nice neighborhood, but I got somehow I found my way back, as I usually do. And now I'm pretty tired, as you can imagine. If you work out every day and you just don't eat that much as you used to. But my body, you know, everybody, your body, my body, everybody knows how to adapt and how to use its reserves. So don't worry about losing something like your muscle mass, your bone mass, you know, your any other tissue except your fat. Your fat is going to be used as a resource for your energy. So anyway, if I have forgot about something, I'm sorry about that. But we're gonna like delve into different topics about how to diet, and what works for me will probably not work for you. And I just know my body really well, so I know that I can pull this off. A lot of people, they need a different approach. So whatever I'm doing, you know, you just need to find something that you can do and just keep to it. If you prefer to eat 6 times a day and work out in the gym 3 hours a day, do that. That works perfectly well, you know. I actually prefer that if I would have time for that. It's all up to you, really. You have to do the research and you have to get to know your body. And the older you get, the better you know your body. You know what's gonna pain you, what's gonna hurt you. Like, for example, again, I'm gonna go ramble on. How long is this video lasting already? It's a half a gig already of recorded video. Anyway, Have a great night, everyone. I hope you had a great weekend, and I'll keep you in the loop. And stay strong and be proud. I love you all, by the way.